hello again, and welcome to the OnStage Colorado podcast. I'm Alex Miller.
And I'm Toni Tresca. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the show. We have got a great podcast lined up for you today, including a discussion of performances we've seen recently, some news from around the state, and for our main topic this week, we are talking about the town of Parker's suggestion to remove pride flags from a musical number in Shrek the Musical at Parker Arts. All that, plus we've got our top 10 Colorado headliners and an interview that you did, Alex, with Colorado theater power couple Marco and Adrian Robinson.
Yes.
What can you tease about that conversation?
Oh, this is a great chat because, they're both right. They're both, they've done a lot of shows together. And of course, they just both won a couple of our Oscar awards.
That's right.
And they're appearing together in Dracula, A Comedy of Errors at the Denver Center and Garner Galleria all the way through May. And it was a really fun conversation to talk about, their theater life together, which, they are a theater couple who is on stage together a lot. So it was really fun conversation. So stick around for that.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation with Marco and Adrian a little bit later in the show. But let's start this episode like we always do by chatting about some of the shows we've seen recently. Alex, you and I were both at the opening night of Cowboys and East Indians at the DCPA on Friday. So let's start there.
Yeah, so this is a world premiere. It was a show that we saw last year at the Colorado New Play Festival as a reading. And at the time, we were both like, hey, this thing looks like it's pretty much ready to go. As opposed to, sometimes you see a reading and think, oh, if this thing's going to see a full production, it's got a lot of work. But this one, the script seemed really solid. And it really, in your review, you said, this really, the full production really did justice to it. And it's a really fun show. It's got a lot of humor in it, but a lot of some drama, and it's not something we see very often. People from India in Wyoming, which is kind of where it's set, and it's kind of like a clash of cultures, but also resolves some understandings we might have about each other in a really sort of humane and reassuring way, I would say.
Definitely, yeah. It's set over the weekend of a wedding in Wyoming where Lucky is trying to fulfill her late mom's request to outfit all of the bridesmaids in her sister's wedding in traditional Indian saris. And so she kind of goes on this journey. The play, as directed by Chris Coleman, kind of jumps between times. So we're seeing her late mother, Chitra, in these flashback sequences and this what initially is presented as a clash of culture between Lucky's family and this white family, the Larsons, who are her father's boss. It's initially presented as this kind of clash of cultures thing, but it's complicated in really interesting and kind of twisty ways.
In ways we don't want to reveal. So that's part of the fun
Absolutely
of the show,
not.
is there's definitely a surprise in the middle of it. And there was at least one person in the audience where we, on opening night, who literally gasped, which you don't often hear.
Yeah, they were appropriately shocked. I guess the twist got them.
Yeah. So I also went over and saw a preview of Junie B. Jones, the musical, at the Arvada Center. And Matt Zambrano is directing this, and we interviewed him beforehand. My budding journalist granddaughter is doing this story with my help, so that'll be on the site soon. It's a really cute show for the kiddos. It was fun to go in there. It was at noon on Monday, so I was in there with like a ton of children watching this show, which is the only way to see a show like that.
Yeah, based on a children's book, I feel like you got to see it in a room full of kids to really see if it's effective or not.
Yeah. And then I was trying to catch up on a couple of the Oscar-nominated films. So I watched Sinners and F1 over the past few days. So I won't go into it since we're talking about theater. But those are both worthy watches. Very different shows, but fun. I could see how they were both nominated.
Yeah, I really like Sinners, and F1 is a good popcorn movie.
Yeah. Yep.
following up on a conversation we had last time we did a full podcast, I went over to Curious Theater and I saw Bad Books, which
Yeah.
you had seen on, I believe you saw it opening night, right?
Yeah.
This is a production directed by Nick Chase. It is just wrapping up its run in Denver, and it's on its way up north to Boulder at the Dairy Art Center. And it is a comedy about book banning. Comedy is how they're marketing it, but it's not
Yeah.
really that funny. It's
No.
an interesting kind of character study and kind of clash between different perspectives. Even if I do think it was a bit thinly written, it's not. It's kind of really just the liberal character dunking on the more conservative character. And then, as you mentioned last time on the podcast, it inexplicably wraps up incredibly neatly and just kind of puts a bow on it all in the last
Right.
10 minutes of the play. It's not the fault of the performers. Both Jada Suzanne Dixon and Lauren Dennis do really good work, and they find some nuance and some really fun moments of levity throughout. But the script, this is doing its kind of a touring thing, a rolling world premiere around the country, and I'm not sure the script was ready for that. I don't know,
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah. Like I said, it just wrapped up kind of like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're done.
Yeah. Seemed like it needed either a second act or a slightly different ending.
Right. And I thought that the tragic part of it was sort of handled on a little lightly.
Yes,
almost
there
an
is
afterthought in some ways.
There is a character who dies in the middle of the show who is very close to both of the characters who we're following. And yeah, it's definitely kind of downplayed.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe not quite as done as they would have hoped, but still an entertaining show. I enjoyed it. But and then you were out. You got out to a couple of musicals.
Yeah, I saw Shrek the musical over at the Pace Center. Won't spend too much time on this since we're going to talk about this as our main topic a little bit later. But this production it's over at the Pace Center, co-production between Parker Arts and Sasquatch Production, based on the DreamWorks film. It follows Shrek going on this quest with Donkey to rescue Fiona from a tower. The musical is directed by Kelly McAllister, and it has a really strong local cast, including a really commanding performance from Cooper Kaminsky as Shrek at the helm. Really nails the Scottish accent. Libby Schul is a nice counterweight to them as Fiona. But the production is just a little bit long. It is over 2.5 hours, nearly 3, with an intermission. And it was a little bit much for me, as well as all the kiddos who were surrounding me. You could just see them tuning out, and several of them were like playing with the seats instead of watching the show. It's because the scene transitions were a little bit long. They had these really bulky set pieces that they were moving on and off with the help of stage management as well as the actors, it looked like. And those things just manually take a lot of time, and that just kind of slowed the show down.
Yeah, you definitely pointed that out in your review.
I also speaking of movie to musical adaptations, I went to Lafayette Arts Hub to see their production of Legally Blonde, and I thought it was really strong. Jessica Swanson directed and choreographed this production based on the 2001 movie. It follows Elle Woods, who gets dumped and then decides to go to Harvard Law School. It's kind of this really inexplicable comic situation, but they really ground it in a lot of truth and emotional sincerity, while also still being very funny and having some really impressive choreography with this 27-person cast, which does a nice job filling out the space. It's more sparsely produced production than say Shrek over at the Pace Center. In terms of its budget, it has a much more simple set, but they make do with what they have, and what they have is a really strong cast. They have really good lighting design, and excellent costumes as well. And so, save for a wig or two, which, like Elwood's wig in particular, you could just see the seam line on the wig throughout the entirety of the production. It was a
That's one you should have
stray
gotten right.
element that didn't work. Yeah, exactly. It's her blonde wig. You kind of do need, everybody knows and expects that. But other than that kind of stray costuming thing, and if you are willing to kind of see a more sparsely produced Legally Blonde, this is a really winning production. The cast just sells the shit out of the show from top to bottom and nails that kind of musical comedy energy that you need. And it comes in at just over 2 hours. So it's tight. It moves.
Yeah, that's great. You also went to see The Shark is Broken at Vintage. So our reviewer, Garth Gersten, thought it was fun, but that the script was kind of on the weak side. What was your take? OnStage Colorado is brought to you by the Aurora Fox Arts Center, presenting Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, January 30th through February 22nd. Hilarious, heartbreaking, and ultimately deeply moving, the play stands as one of the great achievements in the Western canon of dramatic literature, brought to life in a bold new production. Tickets at aurorafoxartscenter.org. We're also supported by the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, presenting The Roommate by Jen Silverman, February 12th through March 1st. This funny and deeply moving play examines the complexities that arise between two very different women and how they navigate changing senses of identity, relevance, and the possibility of reinvention. Tickets at fac.coloradocollege.edu. OnStage Colorado receives support from the Boulder Ensemble Theater Company, whose production of John Patrick Shanley's Brooklyn Laundry runs January 30th through February 15th at the Savoy Denver and February 20th through March 15th at the Dairy Arts Center in Boulder. Tragic and funny by turns, this deeply romantic story will remind you what is important in life and the sorrow and joy of fully embracing adulthood. Tickets at betc.org.
Yeah, my take is that the script is broken. And with the show, it is weird. You kind of do need like a really strong knowledge of Steven Spielberg films and Jaws in order to get all of the reference. And there's lots of like fan servicey moments, and it ends in a really odd recreation of an actual scene from Jaws. But those script issues aside, the three-person cast has a lot of fun with the quieter moments where they're just kind of playing what it's like to be these three famous actors who are all in very different points of their career, just sitting around on a boat while they're waiting for them to fix the shark. Those moments, I think, are really winning because of the cast that they have assembled here, and Luke Ramdorf's Terry's direction. Really, it does a lot here, and the set is really cool too.
It is, just from the photos, I was like, wow.
The boat they've designed is incredibly convincing, particularly as painted with the back wall. The scenic painting paired with Emily Maddox's lighting design does a lot to really convince you that you are actually out at sea. That small space in Vintage's theater, this Bond Tremble Theater, can be challenging for productions because it's a small, narrow, awkward space. But when you're supposed to be on a boat, which is small, narrow, and kind of awkward, it actually really works.
Right. I'm surprised I could get anything bigger than a canoe in there. A one-man kayak. So, we talked about Cowboys and East Indians, and then you saw Exit Pursued by Bear. This is a production by Shifted Lens that I was going to get to over the weekend, and it turned out I wasn't able to. So what was this? How'd this one go?
So this is a Lauren Gunderson play. It is like loosely based on The Winter's Tale, which is kind of a Shakespearean tragedy comedy, and it is a play that's based ultimately around forgiveness. This play is kind of the opposite. It is a revenge comedy in which this woman, it's all set in the South, this woman decides to teach her abusive husband, Kyle, a lesson with the help of her friend, Simon, who is a cheerleader, a gay cheerleader, and then a stripper friend who wants to be an actor named Sweetheart. And It's not really, and it doesn't get any more complicated than that. Everything is very much exactly what I just kind of said. You're watching it playing out. It's very dualistic and binary, and like all the three characters, your Nan, Simon, and Sweetheart, are all perfect and good, and this Kyle character is all the epitome of evil and awful, and you're just watching this kind of torture play out for 75 minutes. There's some fun to be had along the way if you're in for kind of a torture comedy, and as directed by Tamara Nelson for Shifted Lens Theater Company, those moments of humor definitely land, but the script never complicates the premise, and so it kind of never answers that central question of why, if you're going to take inspiration from A Winter's Tale, this comedy about forgiveness, and you're going to change it to be this thing about revenge, but not really complicated, or which Winter's Tale does. It complicates this idea of forgiveness and how you can forgive and that power. This one doesn't really do that in any significant way. And so I think the actors did a pretty good job, and the set was really well done in the People's Building where it's staged over at Aurora, but I was left wanting more from the script.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right.
I also got out to see one more thing, which I won't spend too much time on since it is closed now, but I saw Revolt, She Said, Revolt Again over at Teatro, done by the Moot Point project. And this is an experimental theater production. I thought it was really well done. It was deeply odd, kind of disturbing. You have characters like ripping their tongues out and cutting them open on stage and letting them bleed out over you. People are stripping as they put lipstick on themselves. It's very weird. It's very formally unruly, in your face. And I thought under the direction of True Smith, this 6-person cast did a really interesting job with this edgy contemporary piece. It was a lot of fun. I really am looking forward to see what Moot Point Project does next.
Yeah, well, it was definitely, you have a review of that on the site that sounded very interesting. So, yeah, it's a shame it's over already.
Yeah, I wish it had a slightly longer run, but it was only just like a Wednesday through the weekend, this past weekend.
Right. All right, well, let's dig into the news. What have you got to start with?
So as you kind of teased earlier when you were saying you were catching up on the Oscar nominations, those were announced Thursday, January 22nd. And in the documentary category, Come See Me in the Good Light, about the final years of Colorado State Poet Laureate Andrea Gibson's cancer journey, was among the 5 nominated films at the 2026 Academy Awards. Have you gotten a chance to check this one out? It's available on Apple TV.
I haven't, no.
I just watched it this morning, actually.
Okay.
If you can get over just how much of a bummer it is, because it is just very much about this person who is grappling with the fact that their life is ending in real time and trying to make the most out of every single second, and performing and still writing and spending time with their wife in their home in Longmont with their 2 dogs. It's a really touching story, albeit I was hoping to learn a little bit more about Gibson and how they got to Colorado and kind of their career as a spoken word performing person. Apparently they have this massive career that's only just briefly alluded to in the documentary, but because it's so focused on that final year, that's only really kind of gestured to.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. And speaking of film, in other news, last week, Colorado named Lauren Grimshaw Sloan as the state's new film commissioner to guide the growth of Colorado's film, television, media industry, and, importantly, the film festivals. She has over 15 years of experience in the industry, and was selected after a review of more than 120 applications. She most recently served in senior leadership roles at the Series Fest, which is a Denver-based festival dedicated to independent episodic storytelling. She also served as deputy film commissioner for Colorado from 2012 to 2016, so she's not unfamiliar with this part of Colorado's government.
Sounds
Her
like a
work
great
during that
fit.
time. Yeah, and her work during that time helped bring projects like the Fast and the Furious 7 to Colorado, among other projects. So as this film commissioner, she's going to be leading the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade to build on momentum and really implement the film festival tax credit, which helped get Sundance to come to Boulder in 2027. So it's a pretty big year for planning in the film world, and they kind of need Sundance in 2027 to be a success.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know Colorado's kind of had a reputation for the last decade or so of not being the most film-friendly state, so things are changing, and so she's really sitting at a kind of a crossroads here in the state, so it'll be exciting to see how she can help lead the effort to make Colorado like a bigger film state.
Yeah, they also mentioned in the announcement that she's going to be working on how to get the workforce development to bring more talent locally here, as well as outside here, as well as rural investment and engagement for production. And then obviously, she's working on making sure Sundance is a success. So it's currently in its final year in Park City, happening through February 1st. So things here in Colorado have been a little bit quiet. However, they are going to be ramping up activity after the festival wraps up. And the first event that they're going to have in Colorado is going to be over at the Longmont Museum on Wednesday, February 18th, in which the organization is doing 2 screenings of this film, American Panchudo, The Legend of Luis Valdez, at 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. about this Chicano storyteller, which was a 2026 selection at the film festival. And in between the screenings, around 7 p.m., attendees are going to be able to hear a moderated conversation by Su Teatro's Toni Garcia, along with the film's subject and directors. And then after that, they're going to be able to mingle with those folks and chat with Sundance staff.
Oh, that's great that we're going to have a little taste of Sundance early on.
Yeah, they've been doing these kind of screenings with films from their festivals around Colorado. They did, I believe, 4 last year, and they said they're going to ramp it up quite a bit in 2026 as they kind of get folks acclimated and they themselves learn the community, test out the facilities that they're going to be using. I was a little bit surprised to see this up in Longmont, as the organizers had said the first year was going to be all in Boulder. But
Yeah,
the Longmont Museum is a great place to do screenings. They have a
yeah.
lovely facility there that is very underused.
Okay, I had no idea.
Um,
What else?
yeah, and so in other news, updates from the Colorado Theater Guild. Since last time we spoke, I met with CTG President Betty Hart, Vice President Leah Kozak, and Matt Struck of Struck Media about the series of commercials that the organization is producing, as well as some exclusive news on when and where the Henry Awards are going to be this year. So
Wow.
as we talked about on a previous podcast, they released the first of 4 planned commercials on December 17th on social media. And the video focuses on how half the theater is the audience and has racked up over 21,000 views on YouTube, making it the highest viewed thing the organization has ever produced. And so this is the first of 4 spots. CTG has amassed a collection of videos from theaters across the state that Matt and his team are going to use to make 3 other videos set to be released each quarter in 2026. And the next one is going to be about how you don't have to travel to find great theater. The third one's going to be about using theater to have like a date night out. And then the final one's going to highlight what CTG offers to theaters.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, it's great that many views. Although I guess I would wonder how much of it is outside the actual theater community, to the target audience, which is the people that maybe aren't seeing as many plays and musicals.
So they just started the targeting ads on YouTube to get this ad out to people who aren't just in the theater community. It's going to be airing on PBS as well as other local stations. And they're in talks with the Denver Center about including these videos as a part of their marketing packages.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah. If God bless them if they can get through with the Denver Center over there. I hope so. That'd be cool if they were able to be a part of those marketing packages.
Yeah. So what's this news about the Henrys? They're not going to be at Lone Tree again this year?
Nope. This year, they're going to be hosted on July 20th over at the Arvada Center. This is the 20th Henry Awards, and it's going to be directed by Kenny Moten and Jessica Henley. So yeah, that is the big updates from the Henrys. So mark your calendars, July 20th.
All right. I always look forward to that.
And then finally, the Bonfils Stanton Foundation has selected its next president and CEO following a national search. James Allen Holmes is going to be assuming the role on February 15th, transitioning from his position as the executive director of Cherokee Ranch and Castle Foundation, which is a nonprofit steward of a historic estate, cultural landmark, and a conservation site in Colorado. Not super artsy, but he has served on boards, including the Denver Art Museum, Colorado Ballet, and the Art District on Santa Fe, among others. And then he also co-founded the Black Arts Collective. So he definitely does have some street cred in the arts world.
Like it, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what James Allen does in this position over at the Bonfils Stanton Foundation. They are a major funder for arts and culture organizations in the Denver metro area, and wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, same here. All right, well, let's move on to our main topic. I don't know how much time we want to spend on this, but it was kind of an interesting story this past week when this whole Shrek situation blew up. John Moore wrote about it in the Denver Gazette. You wrote about it in Westward. Even the national OnStage blog picked up on it. So since you are ass deep in this one, can you summarize what happened with Shrek the musical at Parker Pace?
Sure. So in Shrek the Musical, there is this song called Freak Flag. It's performed by all the kind of fairy tale creatures. It's in the second act. It's this number about embracing themselves no matter what they look like. It's definitely not a subtle song. It's about inclusion and accepting people even if they're different. And Kelly McAllister, the direction of this production, blocked that number to include pride flags. It opened with those pride flags in it. However, after opening weekend, on Tuesday, January 20th, the town of Parker communicated with Sasquatch Productions through Parker Arts that people in the community, including one of the donors, the Lutheran High School, found the pride flags offensive, and they suggested that they be removed. Kelly kind of pushed back, he asked, can we put other flags in? Carrie Glassburn, who was kind of communicating on behalf of Parker Arts with Kelly, said, let me check with the donor. The donor said, no, it's actually the pride flags that we do have the issue with in the number. They need to be removed. Sasquatch Productions communicates that information to the cast on Thursday, January 22nd. The cast then talks, and then at intermission, it was decided that at the January 23rd performance, they would still use the pride flags, and actor Becca Lynn Brose broke the fourth wall before the number, and standing on stage, she told the audience that the cast had been not to fly the flags that they had rehearsed with and had been previously approved. And then explained that the cast had met during intermission and decided to perform the song as originally staged. So after that stopping of the show, number continues as normal with pride flags. A video of that moment got filmed and distributed on social media, and that is kind of when it went viral, so to speak. And people from outside, even the Colorado theater community, began taking notice of this situation. And I think it just got blown really, really out of proportion here. I mean, I don't like this censorship. I think it's really not cool, particularly as a journalist, that any kind of censorship would take place or that the town of Parker would be making these suggestions at the behest of a donor. However, they also didn't say, like, we're banning the show if you don't do this. Like, you're done. We're shutting this down.
Right.
It was a suggestion, and they didn't do the suggestion. And to date, there have been no consequences. And the show has been performed with pride flags in the show as originally staged. So seems like everything kind of worked out. But I think it is in part because the cast did speak out and made a moment of it. They did blow it up to be bigger, this big
Right.
thing.
Yeah, and as far as we know, this run, it goes through February 8th, and as far as we know, it's going to go as is with the pride flags, and probably all of this hullabaloo has just done nothing but increase ticket sales, to perhaps the dismay of the complainers who, you always think about that. You called it like the Barbara Streisand effect, where this happens and it just serves to, if they had just shut up about it, if most people wouldn't have even noticed or cared. And certainly not if you're worried about kids being influenced by pride flags, like, come on, really? Kids are just going to see rainbow flags. They're not going to know, or care about it. And it's just so ridiculous. And it's like, it's rinse and repeat every time with these things that it just amazes me that they never learn aspect of the whole thing.
Yeah, I understand that there was probably some pressure for the town of Parker. There are some Google reviews of people commenting on this, as well as going on their Facebook page and leaving negative comments. And this major donor complained, and it sounds like that is really why movement happened here, and a suggestion was made, because that donor, the Lutheran High School, ultimately did pull out. They are no longer funding the production. However, Parker Arts has decided to, as you said, move forward with the production and figure out a way to cover that loss of sponsorship. And yeah, it seems as though this has only benefited the sales of the production. And now, according to the cast, people in the audience are showing up loud and proud. Like, people are bringing their own pride flags. And they said during the Saturday matinee, actually, when they got to Freak Flag, that number, people in the audience had their own pride flags that they were flying along with the cast on stage. So again, it really did create the opposite effect of what they were trying to achieve, which is shut this down, take the pride flags out. Now people are showing up loud and proud. And I know that Parker Arts has been hearing from a lot of people, because they're a city-run organization. Their number is publicly available, and people have been taking advantage of that to call and email and let them know what they are feeling.
Yeah. I would say that I was a little dismayed that some of the comments I saw, I'm never going to perform with in Parker again, and it's like I would have a little more sympathy for the town. In it is a sort of a reddish county that their town officials they've got to address. However stupid you might think it is that people are whining about this, it's still they have an obligation to their citizenry or whomever to respond to complaints and see what they can do, and that's a tough one to navigate. It's like, what do you do? Do you ignore it completely and then have that side blow up? Or, I would just say, like, when in doubt, don't poke at the people who have the stage, because they tend to do stuff like stop the show and say, this is what's going on, and make a lot of noise about it. So, but yeah, it's kind of it's a really tough situation for say like a town spokesperson or whoever was dealing with that, or Carrie, there at Parker Arts.
Yeah, I feel empathy, and I feel bad for Carrie right now. She's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because, like you said, she's definitely hearing from the more conservative folks of Parker that she needs to do her job and not waste taxpayer dollars on this kind of stuff. And yet she's also been a longtime supporter of the theater community for years. She's been helping build up this program in Parker and other places. And so I understand. She probably doesn't want to have her career be totally defined by this Shrek moment. And yet it does maybe seem like that could be the case. So I feel really bad for her, while at the same time supporting the cast's decision to peacefully protest that suggestion and instead just kind of keep the show going on as rehearsed.
Mm-hmm. One last thought on this. I'm like, as far as stopping the show to make this point, I'm not sure I'm down with that. That's not what people came to see. It wasn't necessary. And, unless you were planning on doing it at every subsequent show,
Which they're not.
yeah. What are your thoughts on that? I'm kind of like on the fence there.
Well, I think that, as I kind of said earlier, this blew up because the cast made it into a moment. If there is no speech and no stopping of the show, nobody besides Parker Arts, Sasquatch Production, and the cast would ever know about what went down. But because they took that time to stop and explain it and make a moment out of it, we are having this conversation right now. Now people are thinking about this. I understand where they're coming from, even if I also can understand that that's not why people came to Shrek the musical. It wasn't to see kind of actors get on a soapbox about this kind of conflict that they're having with the producing partner. I don't know. This is such a complicated topic that there's a lot of gray area here. Because again, I do also understand the perspective of the performers to want to be like, if we don't say something about this, then truly nobody would ever know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they could have done it after the curtain call, maybe, or whatever. I'm just looking at the point of view, like, I don't care what the topic is. I don't like shows being stopped for any reason, unless it's like an actor got hurt or there's a technical problem. You know what I mean?
Heard. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, well, hopefully all's well that ends well. They continue to do the show. Maybe, hopefully it doesn't have a chilling effect on future, shows there. And, hopefully it doesn't impact Sasquatch's relationship with Parker Arts or any of that. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Only time will tell. It's definitely a developing situation. If there are any updates here, we will let you know on the podcast.
All right.
Well, now we are going to throw to a conversation that we teased at the top of this show. It's the conversation you had, Alex, with the husband and wife stars of Dracula, a comedy of terrors, on stage now at the DCPA's Garner Galleria, Marco and Adrian Robinson.
All right, here we are with Marco and Adrian Robinson. Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Hi, we're good.
Great. How are y'all doing?
All right. It is so exciting to see you. I've seen you guys on stage quite a bit. I'm going to have to say I'm a little bit starstruck seeing you almost in person. So you guys right now are very busy with a 6-day-a-week show that's running all the way. It's like from November until May. So you guys are a full-time employed in Dracula, a comedy of terrors at the Denver Center Garner Galleria, which I've seen twice. So it was really fun because I got out. I saw it, when it first opened in November, and then I brought some friends to see it on New Year's Eve. And it was really fun to see how much had changed in that time.
Yes.
That's the kind of show you can do a lot of playing around with, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
You have to, or else it'll grow stale because we run for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're there with Leslie O'Carroll and Sean Scrutchins, wonderful comedic actors that we know really well, and also Zach Kononov.
Yes.
And then there's some understudies I didn't see. I'm sure they're getting some time with a long run like that. So, but Marco, you played Dracula. Adrian, you played Lucy and a maid and a carriage driver, and so there's a bunch going on there. But I just wanted to ask a few things about what is it like? So most of the time actors are doing you're in rehearsal for a few weeks, and then maybe the run is. Maybe it's 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. Have you guys done a show this long before?
We both have, yes. We've both done a contract at the Garner Galleria in the past. I did first date in 2017.
That's right. When we first moved to Denver, her first job in town was first date at the Galleria.
And Marco has done Xanadu here.
In 2018, Xanadu ran from about the same amount of time, from November to, I think, May. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Garner Galleria shows. So yeah, those tend to be those long runs. But
Yes.
so and I was also thinking that in the last year or so, this is at least the third time where you've been on stage together and also playing a romantic interests of one kind or another. First in Gentleman's Guide at Arvada, then Nice Work If You Can Get It at Lone Tree, and now in Dracula. And that's kind of a weird relationship. It's not necessarily romantic.
Yeah. It goes from a crush to me plotting his demise.
Yeah, a friends to enemies storyline. So
that's right. Super uber frenemy situation. So I don't know. And is it easier or harder to play love scenes with an actual spouse? And do you even need an intimacy coordinator or things?
No,
like
it's
this?
so easy.
Yeah. They always have one on hand, which is great, and they always ask, "Hey, do you guys need it?" And we're like, "No, we got it." But I think the best thing about it is that we can kind of come up with ideas when we're outside of the rehearsal room. And we already work really well as a team, so we're able to bring that stuff in. I wouldn't say it's weird or difficult at all.
No.
I think it's a gift,
yes.
to be honest.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, it's like a superpower because you can rehearse lines at home and work stuff out during the rehearsal process. And or now, do you have any kind of rule about leaving work at the theater, or is that just off the since it just behooves you to be doing it?
I think we're always working. I mean, we'll come up with ideas in the middle of the day, and we'll run it by each other. We're working on stuff in the car.
We're talking about it on the way home,
Oh, yeah, it never ends.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah, it's just part of our everyday life.
Right.
Especially with a show like this, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of people say, what do you guys get sick of each other or stuff? But lots of spouses work together and live together and do it. Works just fine.
We've been running a photography company together for almost 13 years. So we're very accustomed to working as a team.
Yeah, we're always going to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your day job, and I know I'd seen you, Mark. I knew that you were doing, headshots for people. I didn't know you were involved in that as well. Adrian, what is that business? What kind of stuff do you do?
We have two different photography businesses where Marco's is almost solely headshots, and then I've got mine, Adrian Lee Photo, where I do somehow a ton of headshots as well, but also boudoir, families, couples, graduation, everything.
Okay. Do you do any theater photography?
We did once.
There were some time we worked with some theaters, the old Midtown Arts Center. We used to do photos for that.
Oh, and for the Fox.
The Fox. When we used to go to school at UNC, we did photos for Little Theater Rockies. We managed to sort of get ourselves into doing more headshots and portraiture as of late, but I would be happy to do more theater photography.
There's decent competition, I have to say. There's some pretty
yeah.
A lot of actors pick up the camera, and I just managed to pick it up in 2011 and just had a bunch of actor friends at my disposal and learned how to take headshots and learn how to use a camera. And then Adrian, I kept saying, Adrian, you need to learn how to do this. You would love it. And she just picked it up. I just showed her what the buttons did, and she took off. And so now she's got her own thing going too.
Mm-hmm. Great. So you said you came to Colorado, 6-7 years ago, something like that. Where'd you come from?
Yeah.
I've lived in Colorado since I was a little kid. I just went to UNC in Greeley for musical theater, and that's where Adrian and I met. Mm-hmm. And then she graduated a year before me in 2015. I was in 2016. And then we just we auditioned and we got some jobs in Denver, and we've just stayed here ever since. It's been really, really great to us.
Yeah. And I was a military family. So we moved all over the world. I went to high school in Italy, was raised in Alaska, middle school was Virginia, born in California. And I did 1 year of college at James Madison University in Virginia before transferring to UNC, where we met. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't want to leave. So our 6-7 years is just Denver centric.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is when we moved. Mm-hmm.
So when people see you guys on stage, so Marco, I have to say that you in this Dracula show, you really go. You get this super duper sexy. You're like taking your shirt off, and we all see that clearly when you're not in the theater, you are working out. And I wanted to ask a little bit about how did you get to that level of fitness, and what's your routine look like?
I don't know. I think it started, we did Aida in college, and I was like, I have to get jacked for this. So I got like some modicum of jacked with the help of a friend of mine, dialed in some kind of diet and weightlifting regimen. And then as time went on, it kind of just became part of my lifestyle. I did Xanadu in 2018, and then after that, and post-pandemic, I kind of like sort of figured out what was a good regimen for me, which is like a basic resistance training weightlifting program, push-pull legs or arms, shoulders, back, chest, triceps, that kind of a thing. Legs, obviously. But I've eaten a lot of birds. It's a lot of the same thing over and over again. And I don't know, it just became something that I really love to do, and it ended up working to my advantage. Thank goodness.
Right.
Yeah.
And this role in Dracula, it's absolutely, and this was, I think that it had been done in New York. I don't know whether the actor there was similarly endowed, but the thing that's interesting about it is that you don't often see that kind of that thing played for comedy, it's, and it's so like, it's obviously, it's usually some, macho dude and he's killing people or something like that. And here,
right.
It's how much was that fun to just kind of put yourself, kind of just have fun with it that way?
Yeah. You know what? Part of it is that I really kind of love the world of bodybuilding, and I kind of follow like a bodybuilding regimen as it is. And bodybuilding is just hilarious also to me. Like, it's kind of like wrestling in that way. There's a theatrics about it. And so I found a lot of opportunity to kind of poke at that, I don't know, that genre of aesthetics, physical aesthetics. And I don't know, I thought it was really easy to kind of be self-deprecating in that way. And I've kind of just toyed with it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like other examples, and I was thinking back to this movie a long time ago with Arnold Schwarzenegger with Danny DeVito, that,
yes,
where Danny DeVito looks at him and just says, "You look like you're going to explode,"
Yeah. Yes. I think it's twins or brothers or something.
Twins. Yeah, that was it.
Twins.
Yeah. It really is. It's an awful lot of fun, and it's also, it's fun to watch, and so
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So Adrian in Dracula, you're not just playing Lucy, you're also doing like this quick change work. You're a house slave character, and you have this impenetrable Cockney accent, and I think and also as the driver. And there's a lot of some of the other characters have all these really quick changes. Marco, how do you get those? How much fun is that doing that behind the scenes, like changing? And some of them happen in like seconds.
At first, it was stressful. We were like, how are we going to do this? This seems insane. Our fastest costume changes, Leslie's is like 2 seconds long maximum. So it is a dance. It is fully choreographed. Our full-time dresser, Arbor, is just an absolute rock star. And then when Katie steps in for her, she is just as quick and calm and strong. Because if something goes wrong, you're not making it on stage.
Right. Yeah, I was looking at some. It's tempting to use a lot of different descriptions for this show, like Rocky Horror, Monty Python, Young Frankenstein, Austin Powers. It's so over the top. It's so much fun. Do you guys do you find up you're breaking character and laughing at some of it, or you try not to do that?
We really try not to.
Oh yeah, nothing glaring yet. It's a long run statistically. Things happen like that. But so far we've stayed pretty dialed in, had some fun kind of like freedom in the form kind of a thing, where you're getting so good at the content that you can kind of play with little things here and there.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know. Anything could happen. We could break tonight for all we know.
Well, I definitely cracked a smile at an inappropriate moment when the Mina doll, when her head, for the first time, I threw it over and back over the bed. And I was like, wow, the audience is laughing super hard. I'm so funny tonight. But then I turned back to Mina, and she's like almost decapitated. So, yeah, the props make us break because they're crazy.
Yeah, there's so much going on. So this is, this is like you were saying, it's important to mix things up since you've got such a long run. But what's the energy like working in this small, tight ensemble? Hopefully everybody gets along, and has a lot of fun with it. And does I was just thinking about, like, did you, I don't know, a lot of women don't watch Monty Python. Marco, were you like a Monty Python
I love Monty
guy
Python.
Okay, good. I should not stereotype, but I just
Adrian's got a really cool dad, so he watches Monty Python.
I grew up with Monty Python. Yeah.
Okay.
I watched, Holy Grail obviously was a staple.
Life of Brian.
I've never seen Life of Brian, but I used to watch all like the little bits, like the Ministry of Silly Walks, and like the Argument Clinic, and so a little bit here and there. Yeah,
Argument Clinic is one of my favorites.
Deep cut.
But this one, yeah. But yeah, it really it's you could say it's got some Python in it for sure, but it's like I don't know, this definitely it borrows from so many different comedic genres.
I was thinking, like, when I first read it and like got the concept in my head, it's like, oh, it's the 39 Steps, but Dracula 39 Steps, because similarly, Hannah plays the same part throughout the entire production.
Surrounded by a cast of changing characters.
Surrounded by a cast of clowns and changing characters, and a lot of physical comedy. I mean, they go downstairs like 100 times for the love of God. So that's how I thought about it too.
Right. So I wanted to also mention, so you guys have definitely, the two of you often appear together and often in musicals, musical comedies. But this past year, you were in Cry It Out. That was a real departure for you, at least from my experience. But it was a real dramatic role at Betsy, where you played this really uncertain husband. Can you describe that experience with a play like that, Marco?
I loved working with Betsy, and it was nice to do just to play, and similarly we're doing that right now. But like, the dialogue was great. I think Molly Smith Messler wrote an amazing play, and it really just saying the words. It was so easy. The dialogue was so good throughout the whole show. The cast was great. Obviously, it's not lost on me that it was a cast of all women, and it ran incredibly smoothly the entire time as well. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I kind of love to play awkward kind of characters. I got to do it during Waitress with Dr. Pomander, and this kind of felt like a little bit an offshoot of that character. I loved doing Cry It Out. I thought it was definitely a highlight for my year too.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite shows of the year, and a great job in that one. And it's interesting to ping pong between different types of genres, but that's what makes it fun to be an actor. For sure, I'm sure.
Totally.
So, but the thing that was so funny about watching, not funny, but interesting, was that you weren't jumping all over the place, which I got used to seeing. You were kind of a lot more restrained. But because you're
very, a normal human man.
Yeah. Yes, you're a normal.
I'm not trying to kill anybody, I'm not trying to
like doing dance. Yeah.
Such a physical actor. Adrian, are you pump and iron along there with Marco? Do you have your own routine?
No, I do yoga at home. The idea of going to a public gym sounds like the seventh circle of hell to me.
She's got some 3-pound dumbbells that she throws around.
This is true. This is true. People get mad at me when I say I don't go to the gym, but it's true.
But you did plenty of yoga.
Good genes and yoga and dancing keeps me fit. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Well, do you know what's coming up yet? Do you have a vision past May? Do you have any shows coming up together? Or?
We haven't even had an opportunity to audition for anything.
Yeah, all the audition stuff tends to happen right around when we close, May, and even a little bit into June. So we'll see. I don't know. We have no idea what next year has in store for us.
Well, I guess we'll see. Hopefully there's something that you can do together, and
that would be nice.
That would be great.
Let's keep the ball rolling. Yeah.
I wanted to ask one more question about this run. So it's every night except Monday. Are there matinees?
Yes, Saturdays and Sundays we have 2 shows.
Okay, so that's a lot of shows. And like, what's it like on Wednesday? Are there still decent crowds on those seemingly off nights?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I would say crowds have been pleasant most of the way through. I mean, some houses are quieter than others, but for the most part, we've been playing some really, really great houses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Luckily.
Yeah.
I know Wednesday night can be weird, like but the Galleria in particular, just the way it's set up, the cabaret setting, people can have a drink and have something to eat. It's really kind of a date night vibe. I think it attracts a different crowd and they're fun.
Oh,
they're
yeah. They show up ready to party most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thanks so much, Adrian and Marco, for taking the time to talk. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. We always enjoy seeing you on stage. My wife told me especially to tell him that she loved you.
Oh, thanks.
Loves you both. And she loves seeing people, like all through Stranger Things. She's like, those two are together in real life. And isn't that so cool? And I think people do get a kick out of seeing, married couples on stage together. And
yes.
Totally.
Well, a quick funny, it's not even a story, it's an anecdote before we pop off. I was sneaking out to the lobby after a show a couple of days ago to go meet some friends that had shown up. And they were strangers looking at the headshots on the wall. And they're pointing at, my headshot, his headshot, and they're going, gosh, they would make a really nice couple. Because there's nothing in the program that says anything about us being married. Yeah. So they're like, oh, the chemistry is just crazy.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Because, Robinson's not, it's a fairly common name. So
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Possible. Yeah. All right. Well, so Dracula, A Comedy of Terrors runs at the Denver Center Garden Galleria, as we were just talking, 6 nights a week with some matinees all the way through May 10th. So if you want to see Marco and Adrian out there laughing it up, it is a really fun show. Absolutely recommend it. And look forward to seeing what the two of you are up to next.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank
you.
We
really appreciate you. It's nice to finally interact with y'all.
Yes.
All right.
Well, they are just delightful.
Aren't they great? Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to them.
Well, if you are still hungry, you want to sink your fangs into more theater across the state, we are going to close out the show this week with our top 10 Colorado headliners. These are some of the shows coming up in the next few weeks or so that we think you should consider checking out. So, Alex, what do you have to start with?
My first pick is Hold These Truths. This is from Platte Valley Theater Arts up in Brighton. As usual, they usually only do 2 weekends, so you got to strike while iron is hot. It's a really interesting show about the U.S. government's internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. And of course, Colorado has history in that because one of the big internment camps was here in Colorado. So this is a one-man show based on the true story of Gordon Hirabayashi. So he was an American college student who challenged the constitutionality of that. So that sounds like a real interesting historical piece to check out there up in Brighton.
Mm-hmm. Another kind of historical piece, What the Constitution Means to Me, is being staged by Telluride Theater on Thursdays, January 29th through February 12th. This is a play by Heidi Shrek, small cast. It's about her kind of complicated relationship with the Constitution. When she was a young kid, she would do these debate competitions about the Constitution and its importance, specifically about like different amendments and whatnot. And so this play is being produced as a part of the Telluride Theater's Fringe Project. And so this is a new year-round program they're doing. Applications are open to local artists with performance proposals for small to medium-sized productions of all styles, including original or established plays and musicals like this one. And so the Telluride Theater then provides locals with grants, marketing, technical, and administrative support. And so this play is one of those offerings. It's being produced at the AHA School for the Arts as part of the Telluride Theater Fringe Project, which that's awesome.
Yeah, sounds great. My next one is a really, really short run. In fact, it's just one night at the Denver Center on January 31st. So Richard Thomas, who those of an older generation will remember as one of the stars of the Waltons TV series back in the 70s. But he is reprising a show that Hal Holbrook made famous, and it's all about Mark Twain. It's called Mark Twain Tonight. And so if you want to know, sort of gets down and deep with the nation's sort of really famous comic genius from another age. Sounds like that would be a really fun show to check out.
Yeah, definitely. I've got another one-person show for you. Down in Colorado Springs at TheaterWorks, they're doing Where We Stand. This is a one-person play, and the play kind of starts with a stranger offering the audience a deal. It's part fable, part confessional. It invites the audience to step into the storyteller's shoes and cast a vote of their own. I'm very intrigued. I will be checking out this Colorado premiere myself this weekend, making the drive down south to the Springs to check out this and another show I think you're going to talk about a little bit later.
Awesome. All right, my next one is back here in Denver area and Boulder, actually. Brooklyn Laundry from Betsy, the Boulder Ensemble Theater Company, is doing this John Patrick Shanley comedy about three unlikely people whose lives intersect in unexpected ways in a laundry in Brooklyn. So this will be at the Denver Savoy starting January 31st through February 15th. And then, as so many Betsy shows do, it will move to the Boulder Dairy Center for the rest of its run, February 20th through March 15th. So plenty of opportunity to get out and see Brooklyn Laundry.
My next one also has a pretty lengthy run. It's Hello, Dolly in Johnstown, being staged by Candlelight Dinner Theater, January 29th all the way through April 4th. So you've got plenty of time to check out this musical. It's an adaptation of Thornton Wilder's hit play, The Matchmaker, and follows the romantic and comic exploits of Dolly, who is a turn-of-the-century matchmaker and a woman who arranges things. I've never seen Hello, Dolly, not the musical, not the movie, not the play that this is apparently based on, which I didn't know until I read this description. Have you seen Hello, Dolly before, Alex?
Yeah, I saw a touring Broadway production that came through the Buell a couple of years ago. Andy and I went and saw it, and honestly, it was a fun show, but I don't remember anything else about it, to be honest. So, but it was, it's one of those war horses that won't die. Speaking of war horses,
I've heard the
Waiting for
music's
Godot.
good, so.
Oh, yeah. Of course, it's got that iconic Hello, Dolly song, So, Waiting for Godot, Beckett's classic, directed by Rich Cowden, the artistic director at Aurora Fox. This one is going up January 30th through February 22nd. And I'm not sure if this is I think it might be in their Black Box theater, but I'm not sure. If you haven't seen Waiting for Godot, you owe it to yourself to go check it out. It's a really sort of amazing piece of theater that's kind of unlike much of what you will see on stage anywhere right now.
It's definitely one of Beckett's more accessible works too.
Yeah, but many of which are very difficult to grok if you're not really steeped in that French existential world.
Definitely. My next headliner is on the opposite end of the spectrum. A new play here. It's Godspeed, which enters previews this weekend. This is being produced by the DCPA Theater Company, and it's set in 1865 when slavery has just been abolished in Texas, and a gunslinger named Godspeed returns to the Lone Star State with a 6-shooter, 1 bullet, and vengeance on her mind. You and I both saw a reading of this in the 2024 New Play Summit. That was the same year as Cowboys and East Indians. And both of these are being produced as kind of the world premieres, success stories out of the New Play Summit as a part of the upcoming 20th New Play Summit, which is going to be February 14th and 15th. And so I'm very curious to see how this one shapes out in the full production. It's being done in the Killstrom Theater, that space in the round at the DCPA, which is promising. I love that space a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Although I don't remember this reading. This reading was not my favorite. It was a bit lengthy. And so I'm really hoping that there were some kind of edits, some strategic edits made as a reaction to the summit.
Yep, absolutely. I remember talking about it after, and we were like, yeah, this thing's not quite ready, but it's a very interesting story. So it'd be interesting to see how they tweaked it.
So yeah, I remember this writer he's done a lot of work for television. He's done a lot for Netflix. And I remember thinking, wow, this would be an incredible 6-episode show. And yet we're here for almost 3 hours as in a play. And it feels just kind of too much, too sprawling, trying to pack too much in, and not quite theatrical enough. So hoping those tweaks were made, because I know from talking with other folks in attendance that I was not alone in feeling that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, before I mention my next one, just a real quick correction on Waiting for Godot. Actually, it was Rodney Lascano is directing that, and it is in the main stage theater there at the Aurora Fox. So, but my next one is The Children at Springs Ensemble Theater Company in Colorado Springs. This is running January 29th through February 15th. This is a really interesting play. I saw a production of it that Betsy did, I don't know, probably a good 5 years ago now. It's about a retired nuclear scientist couple living in a cottage following a meltdown at a nearby power station. And it's a real kind of one of those ones where it's just super intense drama and sort of tragic situation. That's definitely sounds perfect for a set.
Definitely. I actually saw that production at Betsy as well. It was in 2022. So I don't remember it other than it being very well done and very intense, like you said. But I will be, this is the other Colorado Springs play that I'm going to be checking out this weekend. So kind of curious to see how this one stacks up. Like you said, great pick for the SET. They do a lot of these kind of edgy, in-your-face, intense dramas. My final pick is the regional premiere of Burning Bluebeard by the Catamounts at the Dairy Arts Center. This blends comedy, vaudeville, clowning, and meta-theatrical play. So basically like all Catamount shows. And it reimagines the 1903 Chicago theater fire from the perspective of the performers. Interesting premise. I had never heard of this show until I saw that the Catamounts were doing it, but I'm excited to check it out this Sunday.
All right. Awesome. They've been on a roll, so hopefully it's another banger.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, with that brings us to the end of our show this week. If you want to stay up to date on what's going on in theaters across the state, be sure that you're subscribed to the OnStage Colorado Theater Blast, which is our weekly newsletter, comes out every Thursday, gives you the rundown on what we've been covering, news happening around the state, and just all of the calendar listings for the upcoming weekend so that you can plan your weekend.
That's right. All right. Next week, we've got a fun interview I did with playwright and actor Edith Weiss. Her collection of short comedies, Fierce Satire and Mediocre Sex, is being produced by N-Toto 2 at Buncourt in February. And Susan Lyles, founder of N-Toto 2 and director of the show, also joins in the conversation. So come back for that one.
That is certainly a striking title for a play. Fierce Satire and Mediocre Sex. I think John Moore wrote in one of his stories about new plays that he wished it was Mediocre Satire and Fierce Sex, but he's curious to see what this is like.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun to talk to her about this one. So, all right. Well, as always, thanks so much for listening. I'm Alex Miller.
And I'm Tony Tresca, and we'll see you at the show.
Hey, it's Alex here, founder, editor, and publisher of OnStage Colorado. Thanks so much for listening. As other publications have stepped away from covering Colorado theater, we've stepped up. In 2025 alone, we published over 165 reviews, making sure our vibrant theater community in Colorado gets the attention it deserves. But we can't do this without your support. If you value having a dedicated source for Colorado theater journalism, please consider making a donation at onstagecolorado.com. Every contribution helps us continue this work. And if you're not already subscribed, sign up for our free weekly Theater Blast newsletter Every Thursday morning, we deliver the latest reviews, theater news, and upcoming show listings right to your inbox. You'll find the sign up at onstagecolorado.com. Thanks again for being part of the OnStage Colorado community. We'll see you at the theater.